Hey, welcome back to Reddit Cheating Wife, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to the channel for cheating stories like this.
How I moved on from my ex. My story was requested by a friend who wanted to hear it. He said that it would provide individuals who are suffering as a consequence of adultery reason to have optimism. Kara, my ex-girlfriend, and I first met while we were in our early 20s. We were able to establish contact fast. We had introduced each other to our families and friends within a month of meeting. Everyone got along like a house on fire. At this point in time, everything was perfect. Kara and I had been dating for a year when I proposed to her. She agreed, and we got to work planning our special day. We decided on the month of August 1996 as the date. I had the sensation that I was walking on air. Kara moved in with me at the beginning of March 1996. She was eager to get work and make a contribution to her family's well-being. I begged her to postpone making a choice until after the wedding, which she agreed to do. I made more than enough money to provide a comfortable living for both of us. She, on the other hand, was adamant. This was the point at which everything started to go apart. She began working at a design company in late March, and she loves it. Soon after beginning work, she developed an aloof demeanor, shown no signs of affection, and became preoccupied with the subject of her project manager. I should have paid attention to the red warning indicators. However, this is not the case. The D-Day invasion took place on June 12, 1996. I was able to go home early from work. Yes, we did find Kara and her project manager, Tim, in our bed, as we had suspected. They were both frightened to death. Tim ripped his clothes off his shoulders and went away. After getting dressed, Kara came into the room and told me that we were finished. Her justification is that he has the ability to further my career whereas you do not. Terry, Kara's closest friend, called her 2 weeks later to check on her. She hadn't spoken to Kara in a long time and was anxious to get caught up with her. I told her of the events that had taken place. She thought I was kidding and busted out laughing when I told her I was. Terry could see I was serious when I got silent for a moment. Kara had been kind enough to supply me with her new address and phone number in the event that I ever wished to speak with her or pay her a visit, as if such an event were ever likely. Terry's home location and phone number were provided to me by a friend. Terry came to my house around 2 hours later. She is normally incredibly pleasant and cheerful, but this time she seemed to be motivated by a desire to harm another person. She stepped in and gave me a bear embrace. She had a tremendous outburst about Kara and how she was lying and using the B word, and she declared that she was over with her. The fact that I was both physically and emotionally aggressive had been brought to Terry's attention by Kara. What a complete and utter load of rubbish. Terry and I started to hang out together on a regular basis. We'd never really spoken to one another before now. After some research, we realized that we both like British history as well as Italian food. Terry returned to school in the fall of 1996 in order to finish her master's thesis. We spoke on the phone at least once a week and saw each other on a number of occasions. I called her in early November and asked if I might pay her a visit on November 9th, which happened to be my birthday. She was eager to get started on some in-depth research, and I was well aware that her time will be necessary for her task. I went over to her house. On arrival, she inquired as to whether I was calling and seeing her because I needed to chat with someone or because I loved spending time with her. I told her the latter. This made me laugh out loud. I told her that my friends' houses were less than a mile away from hers. I wouldn't rack up a large phone bill or drive 2 hours just to talk or hang out with someone. It was a pleasure to spend time with her. After she smiled, we went out to eat and see a movie together. When we got back to her home, she turned around and kissed me on the lips again. I was taken aback, but I recovered quickly and kissed her on the cheek. Our first date, first kiss, and first night in the same bed all happened on our first date. I left to get breakfast for us the following morning and returned to her apartment with an engagement ring, which was the second incident to occur. On May 9, 1998, we exchanged wedding vows. I received a phone call from my sister a few months after we were married. Kara had requested a meeting with me. My sister was given her phone number by the woman. Terry recommended that I call, which I did. She expressed her regret and requested if we could try again. I expressed my gratitude to her and informed her that I had moved on. Terry joined the call at this point, and Kara quickly cancelled it to save time. Kara got in touch with my sister and accused her of breaching her trust. Edit: I should have included this in the initial post, but I didn't. I was visiting Terry in September, and we were hanging out in a willow forest at Hill Park. We were chatting about nothing specific. She grabbed my hand in hers and whispered, "I know you're suffering, and I know you're trying to conceal it. I want you to know that if you decide to try again, I will never let you go." At that moment, I gave up. Every feeling that I had been suppressing erupted. That's when I realized she was more than just a friend to me. We wouldn't become a couple for another 2 months. That stroll, I feel, was a watershed moment for us. Story 2. My 24 male, wife, 23 female, cheated on me. Our marriage is now open and it's actually going good so far. Any advice on going forward? So my wife and I have only been married for a short time. We've only been dating for a little over a year. For the most part, it's been fairly fantastic to me. Even our life seemed to be going well. There certainly isn't a scarcity of it. We're both always up for a good time and have a lot of drive. Recently, one of our favorite bars reopened nearby. We were quite enthusiastic, so we decided to go ahead and go. I told her I'd be the designated driver for our first trip back so she could get as much as she wanted. She thanked me and appeared ecstatic. When we arrived, she was going through a lot of them. There was a man there who offered to buy her one, and because I was right there with her, I said fine. After that, she stood up to use the restroom. It had been a few minutes and she had not returned. I went to see how she was doing. I asked a lady in the women's restroom queue if she could check on my wife. She concurred. When she returned, she informed me she hadn't seen her in there. I reasoned that she could have needed to use the men's restroom and didn't want to stand in line. I didn't see her when I walked in, but I did notice that a couple of the stalls were shut. I immediately heard her voice, which sounded like it was coming from a stall. I knocked but received no response. I could see over since it wasn't that high. What I saw astounded me. She was hunched over, allowing a stranger to have a go at it. The man glanced up but continued on his way. At first, she didn't realize anybody was nearby. She finally glanced up and spotted me. At first, she didn't stop. It probably took her at least 10 seconds to realize it was me. She began to seem distressed. They came to a halt soon after, and it seemed to be because he had finished, not because they had realized I was there. Outside the restroom, I waited for my wife. When she came out, she saw me and I walked her outside and into our vehicle. She remained silent. When we went home, she became ill many times. She promptly fell asleep. I was thinking about what I had seen in my brain. We've done some role-playing, such as my sharing her and some, but nothing even like reality. I was torn because I knew I should be angry, but I also felt a bit turned on. I awoke the following morning to find her staring at me with tears in her eyes. She was sobbing and apologizing, explaining that she had understood what had occurred the night before. At first, I didn't know what to say. I said that I was just perplexed. I eventually confessed that it had an effect on me. She was taken aback and astonished when I stated that. I told her I enjoyed seeing her with another man. She was at a loss for words. I told her that I believed I was okay and that I didn't think this would harm our relationship. After a lengthy discussion, she seemed to be more accepting of my sentiments. She still apologized for cheating on me without my knowledge, blaming it on the drink. She expressed regret for not informing me sooner. We seemed to be in the early phases of opening our marriage. We both promised to leave it open for the following 4 months and to stop it immediately if any of us felt uncomfortable. She said that she feels she will be okay with me sleeping with other ladies as long as I notify her beforehand. She said that she wasn't sure whether she wanted to be the first one there. She hadn't slept with any other man since. We've attempted to locate more, someone safe for her to meet up with, but we've been unsuccessful. Is there anybody that can help us with our situation? I understand that she was cheating, so this is perhaps not the ideal way to start a marriage. I still feel we are really in love, and I don't want to lose her. I'd want to learn how to open up our marriage in a safe manner.